In this house, nothing is as it seems. The morning looks peaceful, the air is calm, everything feels normal. But behind these walls, secrets are breathing. A wealthy man sits at his dining table, silent, watching. Not the food before him, not the beautiful house he owns, but the girl standing across the room. A maid, quiet, humble, avoiding his eyes. Her hands tremble slightly, her heart racing, like she knows something is about to happen. The girl you see is not just a maid. She is hiding a secret so dangerous, it could destroy everything in this house. Every step she takes, every word she speaks, is built on a lie. And the man watching her is slowly losing control. Desire is growing, boundaries are fading, and something forbidden is about to begin. But what happens when love crosses the line it was never meant to cross? The car stopped slowly in front of the massive gate. Audrey stepped out, her eyes scanning the luxurious mansion in front of her. This is where you want me to work?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Alice adjusted her scarf and sighed deeply. "My daughter, this is not just work. This is our opportunity." Audrey turned sharply, anger rising in her eyes. "Opportunity? You want me to become a maid? In your fiancé's house? My own mother's house?" Alice grabbed her hand, her voice soft but desperate. "Keep your voice down. He must not hear you." Audrey pulled her hand away. "So it's true. You never told him about me?" Alice looked away, guilt flashing across her face. "No, I didn't." "Why?" Audrey demanded. Alice's voice trembled now. "Because men like him, they don't want complications. I didn't want to lose him." Audrey shook her head in frustration. "So instead, you chose to hide your own daughter?" Alice stepped closer, holding her shoulders tightly. "My daughter, life has not been kind to us. This is our chance to rise. We have suffered, struggled, survived on nothing. Don't you want a better life?" Audrey's eyes softened for a moment, but the pain remained. "And this is how we get it. By living a lie." Alice's tone became emotional, almost breaking. "Just for a while, please. When we get married, everything will change. I will tell him the truth, and you will live like a queen." Audrey looked at the house again, then back at her mother. "You're asking me to erase who I am." "I'm asking you to help us survive," Alice replied quietly. A long silence followed. Then, finally, Audrey spoke, her voice low and reluctant. "Fine. I'll do it." Alice's face lit up with relief. "Thank you, my child. You won't regret this." But as the gate slowly opened, Audrey walked in, not as a daughter, but as a stranger in her own mother's life. And deep inside, something didn't feel right. Morning sunlight filled the dining room as Audrey carefully arranged the breakfast table. Her movements were slow, cautious, like she was trying not to be noticed. But she could feel it. A pair of eyes, watching her. Odie sat quietly at the table, his gaze fixed on her every move. Audrey avoided looking up, focusing on the plates in her hands. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Odie didn't respond immediately. Instead, he leaned back slightly, studying her. "Come closer," he said calmly. Audrey hesitated for a second, then stepped forward. "Yes, sir." Odie picked up his cup but didn't drink. "Since you came here, this house feels different." Audrey forced a small, uncomfortable smile. "I'm just here to do my job, sir." He chuckled softly. "Is that what you think this is?" Their eyes met for the first time, and Audrey quickly looked away. "I should finish setting the table," she said, trying to step back. "Wait." His voice stopped her. "You don't look like someone from the village," Odie continued. "The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, it's different." Audrey's hands tightened around the tray. "I'm just doing what Madam asked me to do." Odie stood up slowly, walking around the table, closing the distance between them. Audrey's heartbeat quickened as he came closer. "You're nervous," he said quietly. "No, sir," she replied quickly. He leaned slightly closer, his voice softer now. "Then why won't you look at me?" Silence. Audrey kept her eyes down, her body tense. "I don't want any trouble, sir," she whispered. Otis smiled faintly. "Trouble?" He paused, then added, "I haven't even started yet." Audrey stepped back immediately, creating space between them. "I'll go call Madam," she said quickly, almost escaping the room. As she walked away, Otis watched her, a slow smile forming on his face. Something had already begun. And Audrey knew it. This house was no longer safe for her. The house grew quieter as the days passed, but the tension only grew stronger. Audrey tried to avoid him, kept her distance, did her work quickly and disappeared. But Otis wasn't the kind of man who accepted distance. One evening, as she was cleaning the living room, "Stay," his voice came from behind. Audrey froze. Slowly, she turned. "Yes, sir." Otis stepped closer, his eyes fixed on hers. "Why do you keep running away from me?" "I'm not running, sir. I'm just doing my work." He shook his head slightly. "No, you're hiding." Silence filled the room. Then suddenly, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a bundle of cash. He placed it on the table between them. "For you." Audrey stared at it, shocked. "I can't take this." "You can," Otis replied calmly. "And you will, if you trust me." Her mind raced. This was wrong. Everything about it felt wrong. But the thought of her struggles, her mother's pain, their past, it pulled her in. "I don't want problems, sir," she said softly. Otis stepped even closer now, his voice low. "You won't have problems, as long as you stay close to me." That moment, something changed. Not love, not yet, but a dangerous connection had begun. Later that night, Audrey stood outside, her phone pressed to her ear. "Morris, I don't feel right about this place," she whispered. Morris's voice came through, calm but concerned. "What's going on?" She hesitated. "It's my boss. He's acting strange." "Strange how?" Audrey looked back at the house, fear and confusion in her eyes. "I don't know, but I feel like I'm losing myself here." Morris sighed. "Just be careful, okay? Don't let anyone take advantage of you." She closed her eyes briefly. It's not that simple anymore. Because deep down, Audrey knew the truth. She wasn't just a maid anymore. She was living two lives, and both were slowly slipping out of her control. Days passed, but nothing stayed normal for long. Otis's attention grew stronger, heavier, impossible to ignore. Every glance, every excuse to call Audrey closer, it was no longer subtle. It was obsession. "Audrey, come here," he would say, even when there was no reason. And each time, she felt trapped between fear and something she didn't want to admit. One afternoon, Morris stood outside the compound gate, his face tense, his fists clenched. He had seen enough. The late-night calls, the distance, the way Audrey's voice had changed. Something was wrong. As Audrey stepped out to throw the trash, she froze. "Morris, what are you doing here?" His eyes locked onto hers, searching for answers. "So it's true." Her heart dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I saw him," Morris said, his voice tight with anger. "The way he looks at you, the way you stand close to him. That's not what you think." "Then what is it?" he snapped. Silence. Audrey couldn't answer. And that silence said everything. Morris stepped back slowly, shaking his head. "I trusted you." Before she could stop him, he turned and walked away, leaving behind confusion, guilt, and a broken line she had crossed. That same evening, a strange man appeared at the gate. Dirty clothes, rough hair, eyes that looked lost, yet strangely focused. He shouted loudly, drawing attention. "Where is she? Where is my daughter?" The guard tried to push him away. "You're mad. Leave this place." But the man refused. "I saw her. She came into this house." Inside, Audrey heard the noise and stepped closer to the window. The moment she saw him, her heart skipped. There was something about him, something familiar, something unsettling. The man suddenly pointed straight toward the house. "She's here. My daughter is here." Audrey stepped back, shaken. Her breathing became uneven. "Who is that man?" she whispered. Later that night, she couldn't shake the feeling. The way he spoke, the way he looked at her, it wasn't random. It wasn't madness. Her voice trembled as she sat alone in her room. That man, he knew things no stranger should know. And deep down, for the first time, she began to question everything she thought she knew about her life. The night felt heavier than usual. Audrey sat on her bed, staring into nothing, her mind replaying the scene over and over again. That man's voice, his eyes, the way he called her his daughter. It didn't feel like madness. It felt real. The next morning, she found her mother in the kitchen. "Mom, who is my father?" Alice froze for a moment, then forced a small laugh. "Why are you asking such a question again?" "Because a man came here yesterday," Audrey said, her voice firm. "And he said I'm his daughter." Alice's expression changed instantly. "A madman," she snapped. "And you chose to believe a madman over your own mother?" "I'm not saying I believe him, but nothing." Alice cut in, her voice rising. "Your father died. I told you that already." Audrey stepped closer. "Then where is he buried?" Silence. Alice looked away, her hands shaking slightly. "It was a terrible accident. There was nothing left to bury," she said softly. Audrey's eyes filled with doubt. "No picture, no grave, nothing?" Alice turned back sharply, her voice now emotional. "You think I'm lying to you?" "No, You just what?" Alice's eyes filled with tears. "After everything I've done for you, you question me?" Audrey's voice softened. "I'm just confused." Alice pulled her into a tight embrace. "Don't let strangers destroy your peace, my child. Please." But even in that embrace, Audrey felt something was wrong. Days passed, but the man kept coming back. Sometimes shouting at the gate, sometimes just standing there, watching. Each time, calling her, "My daughter, I know you're here." The guards chased him away again and again, but he never stopped coming. One evening, Audrey secretly walked closer to the gate, her heart pounding. She wanted answers. But before she could reach him, the guards dragged the man away again. And as he struggled, their eyes met for just a second. Tears filled his eyes. "Don't be afraid. I will come back for you," he said. Audrey stood frozen, unable to move. That moment hit her deep. This wasn't just confusion anymore. It was fear, mixed with a strange connection she couldn't explain. And no matter how much her mother denied it, something inside her kept whispering the same question. What if the truth she knows is a lie? The rain poured heavily that night. Audrey stood at the gate, her heart beating fast. This time, she didn't run. "Stop!" she shouted as the guards tried to chase the man away again. "Let him speak." Everyone froze. The man slowly lifted his head, his eyes meeting hers, filled with pain and hope. "My daughter," he whispered. Audrey stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Who are you?" The man took a shaky breath. "My name is Aaron." The name meant nothing, yet everything felt connected. "Why do you keep calling me your daughter?" Tears rolled down his face. "Because you are." Silence. Even the rain seemed to pause. Audrey shook her head slowly. "No, my father died." Aaron stepped forward, his voice breaking. "No, I didn't die. I disappeared." Inside the house, Oti stood at the window, watching everything unfold, his expression turning serious. Outside, Aaron continued, his voice heavy with emotion. "Years ago, your mother and I were happy. We had nothing, but we had love." His hands trembled as he spoke. "One night, men broke into our home." Audrey's eyes widened. "I tried to fight them, but they overpowered me." His voice cracked, pain flooding back. They hurt your mother again and again, even when she was pregnant with you. Audrey covered her mouth in shock, tears forming instantly. I watched everything, helpless, broken. He fell to his knees. That was the day I lost my mind. Silence filled the air. I ran away. I couldn't live with the pain. I couldn't face her. I couldn't face you. He looked up at Audrey, his eyes filled with regret. But the day I saw you again, standing in this house. His voice softened. I lost my mind the day I lost your mother, but seeing you brought me back. Audrey's world shattered. Everything she believed, everything she trusted, felt like a lie. Behind her, Alice stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. Her secret, finally exposed. And inside the house, Oti stepped back slowly, realization hitting him hard. The truth about Audrey, her past, her pain, everything changed in that moment. Nothing would ever be the same again. The rain had stopped, but the silence it left behind was heavier than ever. Audrey stood between her parents, her eyes filled with tears, her heart torn in pieces. Alice slowly stepped forward, her voice shaking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, my child. Audrey looked at her, hurt and confusion in her eyes. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Alice broke down completely. Because I was afraid of losing everything again, afraid of going back to that life of pain. She fell to her knees. I wanted a better life for us, even if it meant living a lie. Audrey's expression softened, but the pain was still there. Aaron stepped closer, his voice calm but filled with regret. We both made mistakes, but we are still a family. From behind, Oti walked forward slowly, his face serious, his pride gone. I didn't know, he said quietly. And even if I did, what I did was wrong. He looked at Audrey, guilt in his eyes. I crossed a line I should never have crossed. Then he turned to Aaron. You deserve a chance to rebuild your life, and I will help you. Moments later, Morris stood silently, unsure, watching everything. Audrey walked toward him, her steps steady this time. I'm sorry, she said softly. I lost myself, but I know where I belong now. Morris looked at her, then nodded slowly. I just wanted the real you. A small smile appeared on Audrey's face, and for the first time, it felt genuine. Alice stood beside Aaron, holding his hand. A broken past, slowly finding healing. Oti stepped back, watching quietly, knowing some things money could never fix. No matter how deep the lies, truth always finds its way back. Fade to black.